Swag after and boss. Look.
What's going on, everybody? Web's out here, the man, the voice, the fragrance. Here with a young lady that's one of the things about just being on there, I get to talk to interesting people, and her content flashed upon me in TikTok, on TikTok, and on TikTok, and I was like, oh, I want to talk to her because she seems absolutely fascinating, and I am always in awe of when individuals are very much their authentic selves online. So I really wanted to have opportunity to talk to her, getting a little bit more about her, and also like where her internet presence came from, so why she chose to use her platform this way. And it's Mistura Ini. Oh God, I'm gonna butcher this. Tell me one more time.
Iginla.
Iginla, Mistura Iginla. Mistura, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty good. It's a good morning. Can't
Yes,
complain.
it is. It is.
Yes. Glad to
Now,
be here.
one of the things, and I'll just jump right into it. It was your post about, I think, being the ugly girl or the ugly friend that struck me because, and I will say this, there are many people who would find you objectively stunning. And I know the thing was like, what the hell is she talking about? She's the ugly friend. However, your post resonated with me because I think a lot of times those individuals that we find extremely beautiful, attractive, we don't ever think of more so how they perceive themselves in many respects. So, why did you choose to be so vulnerable in that moment online?
One, I'm a very raw and authentic and vulnerable person, especially like with the people that are like around me, like my close friends and family, and even like just strangers. I'm just very open like that
Mhm.
because I don't know why I am. I think it's just the way God made me. I'm just very like a raw person where I'll just be honest and say things like, "Oh my God, that made me jealous." Like people don't say things like that. I'll say it, and that's just who I am. Uh, it took me a long time to get to the point to put it on the internet,
Right.
but but I I forgot your question.
Oh no, as far as pretty much like what prompted you to do it, and let me ask you this, and this is because of recent events in my life, I have put a more of my personal life on the internet because it kind of played out there, and it was long story. I'll explain some of that on the back end because you don't know everything. But there was, for me, a sense of maybe even release to some aspect of conveying those feelings, those emotions, those thoughts online. Did you are you feeling any of that with some of the more raw aspects of yourself that you're sharing online?
So everything I share online is either I'm actively feeling that way or it's something that I have felt in the past. So with the being the ugly friend, there was a time period and a good portion of my like life where I just felt like overlooked a lot.
Hmm.
And during that time, like when it got to the worst of that season, I told my friends about it, like my inner circle, my friends. I was very honest with them and I was saying like, hey guys, like I'm feeling like the ugly duckling here. When we go out, no one's really checking for me, like I don't really know. And of course I'm telling my friends like, don't feel any way about it. It's just that this is just the reality of it. And so to me it's making me feel like I'm the ugly friend or whatever. Of course they're all like, stop, you know how friends are gonna be, like they're just gonna be like,
Right,
stop
right.
that. And so I that was really a struggle. And I believe that there's so many reasons as to why I experienced that. And I want to say this while we're on this interview. This is while I lived in Atlanta, Georgia, not
Mm-hmm.
Seattle. I just moved to Seattle in June because everyone's like, "Oh, it's because your location, your location." I'm like, "No, it's not because of my location.
Right.
I was in a hot and poppin' Atlanta with all the black people. That's not the situation." Um, I think that all of my friends are very beautiful and they all have unique features about them.
Mm-hmm.
So when I talk, like, this is how I describe them. Like, one of my friends at the time, she was like slim built, not really curvy, but she had a very like sweet voice. Like, she just had like one of those voices that's like, whoa, like that was just really like, you have a nice voice or whatever. And she
Right.
presented well. And I do think that there were times that she kind of like, when a guy was talking to me, she would interject, but that's
Mm-hmm.
another story for another day.
Right.
And then one of my friends has hazel eyes, thickiana. Another friend of mine, she's Jamaican, but she's Jamaican with Guyanese and has like Indian ancestry. So her hair is down to her behind. Another one of my friends just has this big bubbling, she's beautiful and she has this big bubbling personality that whenever she walks into a room, she's so charismatic. Everyone in the room draws towards her.
Right.
And that there's me. And I don't really, I can categorize all my friends for different things where guys would like them. And even outside of their looks, like they all have different like elements to their personality and their look that kind of like. And then another one of my friends, she's Ethiopian, and black guys love the foreigns, so the foreign babes, and so and then it's me, and I'm just like the black girl. Some might call me Black Barbie, some might say black and stunning, black and beautiful, beautiful chocolate girl, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, it's just like there's no extra, there's no what people put on a pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
There's no extra sprinkle of that. I just happen to be I don't think I just happen to be, but this is how people perceive it. I just happen to be a chocolate girl that's beautiful. And people act like, when people see me, they act like the like they it it's never been seen before. I'm not even joking. When I went to
Right.
Puerto Rico, people were
Mm-hmm.
looking at me like I was an alien. Like, what the hell? Like, I didn't know that black girls look like this.
Right.
And like when I moved to Seattle, one guy literally stopped me and was like, "Oh my God, thank you so much for showing black beauty." Like, people act like they never, like, chocolate, pretty, beautiful women don't exist. So people are very shocked. And even to talk about like going out, just so you can know my experience, going out and stuff like that. One thing I noticed, and this is just like kind of go ties into colorism, which I really didn't speak on too much in
Mm-hmm.
the video because I didn't want the video to be about colorism because that's just a whole
Right.
nother can of worms. But when it comes to colorism, which does play a part in this, let's just be honest.
Yes, it's true.
Um, uh, I will notice like going out, like we be in the scene. We know what's happening. So, people are looking at people, they're looking at the group. When guys look at, if I'm with me and my girlfriends and guys look at the group, they scan the group as a whole and I don't register. Like,
Mm,
literally you can tell like I'm not registered. But then as soon as they, like, let's just say they finally get a moment and they, for some reason, we're chatting or we're talking and they actually get a chance to look at me, I could see it in their eyes like, oh, I didn't realize she looked like that.
right.
Like, you could just see it like, oh, because like I try to tell people, like, being dark skinned, people's automatic reaction, black men's automatic reaction, because I don't have the same exact experience with white men. Black men's automatic reaction is to not even register you until they do, and then it's just like, oh my God, like I've had so many different little experiences like that.
Well, you're not talking to one of those, in the least bit. Uh, but that aside, that I think that what you talked about, just on the basis of being the kind of being overlooked, I think that's something that can resonate with all of us, men and women. And honestly, when you said it, I didn't think, oh, because she's in Seattle, because personally, like that is something that I have always sort of register with as well. I've always seen myself as maybe sort of the ugly duckling, the odd man out, and not necessarily because of dating, but just in general. That's how I've always felt. I've always felt like the ugly friend or the one that's looked over. And again, that was just a feeling that I had. And I think for me personally, it is taking me in maybe the past 5 or 6 years to really see myself differently, to work past it. And I don't think that for me it was never like a hindrance or anything. But your words resonated with me because I totally understood where you were coming from, and that feeling, because I felt it as well. And I think that's why the video or the post has garnered so much attention that it has, because I think that so many different people, men, women, black, white, what have you, can really empathize with what you were saying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something, take the dating and all of that in the comic section to the side. It's something that I've always kind of like felt always like
Hmm.
kind of like the ugly duckling, that just kind of, I had my awkward middle school phases where like, things like that. And just being, I think being chocolate, all those things. And one thing that people forget is that self-esteem is built by your parents.
Yes.
Your parents are who instill self-esteem in you. You don't know my background, you don't know my where I've come from, you don't know my traumas, you don't know my childhood, you don't know what I was told, you don't know what I wasn't told. And I can't say that I lived a childhood experience that built confidence. It did not. It built anything but confidence. I was the black sheep of the family, so that beats down on your self-esteem. And I think a lot of people can resonate with it because a lot of people, have even if they haven't experienced this their whole entire life, there's periods of time where you're going to experience this, you
Yes.
know. So I think that's why so many people can resonate with it.
Yeah, definitely. I was literally having a conversation with a friend of mine, and her and I were talking. And I was specifically talking about, in this case, we were talking about her dating life and men, and I was like giving her, she always, as being a bit older, she's like, I need to understand this perspective. And so we were having this conversation, and a lot of what I was saying to her came down to how you're treated when you're growing up, what you're made to feel like, what are you taught to really believe and look within yourself. And it came down to that self-esteem issue. It came down to, feeling like you're worthy, in whatever the circumstance. So that upbringing, that instillment, um, is very important, because you're thinking, you're get to 30, 40 years, you are pulling all of that with you. And say, go back to my case, not saying I didn't have a positive mother and father, but we all kind of experience things that get internalized in us, that sort of just bring us down and impact the way not only we feel about ourselves, but we see of ourselves as well. And that was for me, like I was saying, like those are a lot of things I had to shake off personally and really start to look at, okay, what does everyone else see? Because in your case, I can tell you what I see, I can tell you what others see, but you have to see what you see in yourself, just like I had to see what I had to see in myself. But I think your words and your experiences, like I said, they definitely resonate because so many people have been in that situation or going through that situation as well.
Right. I think also, I think it's split 50-50 between people who like actually understand, and then the other half are people who are choose not to understand.
Right.
So yeah, so definitely think that's kind of
So
where both is coming from.
with this post, it's gone, I don't know if viral is the term, but I've seen it show up with other people are commenting on YouTube, which I was like, oh my goodness, like
Wait,
that
other people
person.
commenting on YouTube?
Yeah, it was one guy followed JR Wisdom. I saw like that video was like part of the thumbnail. I didn't watch the video, but I know he was talking about what you were talking about. So
Oh
I've
God.
seen it pop up other places.
Oh
And I
God.
think other people have commented online, not necessarily directly to your video, um, but you seem to have garnered a lot of reaction for that video. How how's it been? But how has that fueled creating more content? Maybe that's a better question to ask.
Honestly, Patricia Bright said it I don't, you probably don't know who Patricia Bright is because you're probably like, who the heck is that? She's like a beauty influencer, but she
Okay.
said this thing, and it's not like I was canceled or anything like that, but some
Hmm.
people had like visceral reactions to my posts. Like there were
Hmm.
people who were like kind of angry and with the
Right.
comments and stuff. And she said getting canceled made her the most money.
Mm.
That video garnered me so much followers. Like
Yeah.
like it's sending so many people to my page who resonate, who watch my other videos, who can relate with being insecure, who can relate with my insecurities, who see me push through the insecurities and show
Right.
up every single day no matter what, so I think that honestly it's been fuel, and it's been nothing but good things. I'm like, I thank you. Every time someone comments, you got low self esteem, bye. I'm like, thank you. Another view, another
Well,
one, another
hey,
one.
yeah, yeah. That's a great way of looking at it. You speak on the comments, and this is. I don't get as much of this, but I've never understood the ease that people have to be keyboard warriors and to say certain things online, especially when things are so innocent. Like you were so genuine and raw, and it always baffles me when someone can take that and make a negative out of it. It sometimes that makes me lose hope for humanity in general. um, but like I don't understand it. But I'm very glad that you're looking at it as thank you for the view. Bye bye. On to the next one. I love that because so many people, and I've had conversations with content creators and would be content creators, young and old, and so many people just don't have the thick skin to really deal with the trolls, as we say. So it's a bit more refreshing to hear you say, thank you for the view. Really put in perspective because I always tell people, and I've said this for a long time, the internet is not real. This is not real life. When anybody says to me, "This is not real life," you can say what you want. I don't care. I've gotten crazy things said on my page. I've gotten, "Hey, it's Drake," or "Hey, it's so and so." I'm like, okay, cool, thank you. You view my video. All right, hey, I appreciate it. Um, but with that, how or how do you see your content expanding with this newfound as a celebrity? Because your views are growing, which is awesome to me. Because I'll say this again. I love your content. I love the rawness and the genuine. And I think even though we talked before, this is a brand, so to speak. All of this is still me and who I am and what I'm about and what I stand for, and particularly the sort of image of a black man that I want to make sure society sees, and to know and understand that we are not just about XYZ. I love comics. I love this. I love gaming. I'm into colognes. I mean, I'm into presenting myself well. I'm into whole myriad of things, and also about giving respect to all people, which is why I'm interviewing. I want to interview you because I loved what you put out. This is why I interview adult stars, comic creators, video like I, people are interesting, and I like showing people in different lights to sort of subvert perceptions and expectations others may have of them. So with that, I see you're getting some like samples in. Like, how do you see your channel or your content expanding? Um,
Right. So initially, when I started my channel, I had just come off like a huge healing journey.
mhm,
I had got diagnosed with bipolar. I was
mhm,
in partial hospitalization, so a PHP program and intensive treatment changed my life completely. well, I won't say completely healed, but I
Right.
feel healed and whole. You know what I
Right.
mean? There's still
Right.
some things I need to work on. And so from that, I was so inspired. I just wanted to share everything I learned with the world, all the
Mhm.
psychology things that I learned, every tip and trick, what I used to help my mindset. And
Mhm.
I really wanted to help other women. Specifically, it was women, but now even men, like
Mhm.
men be coming in my DMs like, oh my God, thank you so much for saying what you said. Like,
Exactly.
I didn't even expect it. I was just like, I thought it was just going to be women, but like, no, men resonate with this message. Men resonate with being insecure, having insecurities, all these type of
Yes.
things. And so it's been all types of people. And so my goal actually initially, and I still want to do this, was to create a school. Do you know the school app?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
I'm in a couple
yeah.
of different groups on there. Yes.
I wanted to create an app for women where we could talk about things in a private setting, talk
Mhm.
about like the real and the raw, get into the nitty gritty about things like jealousy, about sexual partners, about things like that, and like how it has affected you in a private
Mhm.
space where I would have people like sign NDAs to
Right.
get in, like that type of place, because I think there's no space for anyone to be that raw, vulnerable, and real about shit. Like, what room can a woman come into and say, I slept with 100 men and I want to stop and I feel disgusting? There's nowhere. I want to be that space. That sounds crazy, but
No.
like,
No. It doesn't, and I say that because I know a myriad of people, and I have always been someone who I'm non-judgmental. But I can see in that, there are women like that who have done things and this and men as well. And I'm not just, classify the women, but I can understand in that statement, in that scenario you gave, there are a lot of people who would get stuck on the I've slept with 100 men and forget the part I don't like these decisions. I want to change my life. They're like, oh my God, 100 men, it's such a shock, but you're like, you know what, I have, and they miss the part. I've realized the mistakes that I've made. I want to make different choices in my life. I don't know how. I want help, in many respects,
mhm,
whether it's professional help or I'm looking for my community to
mhm,
assist me in my journey and to hold me accountable in some
mhm,
respects. Those are genuine conversations I think we all need to have. And one of the things I would say, which is an unfortunate byproduct of the internet. There's so many, and I use that example specifically, but because that's what extends into the general conversation piece we see when dating relationships. And I talk to people, and we're just like, what world do these people live in? Like, this is not reality. As far as like, these aren't the conversations I have with people. These aren't the conversations my female friends with. Well, some of them have those conversations, but when we have those conversations, that's not it. So I do agree. A safe space to not be judged and to actually have community. I think our current social media dynamic, it doesn't extend to that most of the time, and I think that is something that is very much needed for everyone, because there are a lot of pressure. Now I will say this, and I will never forget this conversation. This is a conversation that I had. This was 20 years ago. um, and I was with a colleague of mine when I was in grad school, and her and I, we were on our bus. We were at a conference in Wisconsin, and we were talking about these sort of pressures that we face as men and women in order to be a certain way, especially black men and women, to be a certain way, to look a certain way, the sort of pressures women have on them based on media and society. And obviously that has just warped speed in the past 20 years. And I don't think those are things we really talk about in a sort of constructive place where we should anymore. So, to what you said, that's something I think is very desperately needed.
yeah, yeah, that's where I want to go. And like, I wanted to do life coaching as well. So that's another thing I want to do. Like, so the reason why I started doing like more beauty and fashion content and
Mhm.
mixing it in is because I was like, well, Miss Dora, how are you going to monetize yourself? Like,
Right.
how are you going to do this? Like, there needs to be a way for you to monetize. And the only thing I could think was like, okay, well, you could dress down, you could beat a face, you could do a
Right.
little skincare. So let's mix that in, but also make videos on your message and things that you're learning. So that way people can get like, you know, the medicine with the sugar with the medicine or
Yes.
whatever they call it. And so that's what I just try to do. And I hope that I get to a point where my platform is large enough and I have enough people who where I can make a community of people that really need this space because I think that it's needed.
Yeah, I understand that, and also I always tell people, well, one, you're doing what you need as far as being consistent. Consistency is key, um, and that's really key when it comes to growing your platform. But two, having different types of content. And I don't know about you. One of the things that burns me out on creators is I feel like I'm seeing the same thing over and over again, year after year, and having different content or different types of content while still being authentic keeps me engaged as a viewer. Like there are guys that I watch and have been watching, for 10 years now, 8 years now, because they offer engaging content, but also it's different all the time. And there's some guys I used to watch where at a certain point in time it's like it's repetitive. Or one of the things with even with what you said in your short time, it's about growth. It's about growth in your content, but more importantly, that reflects growth in you. And I think as individuals, excuse me, personally, I always want to see growth. It's like music. If I've been listening to you for 10 years and you're still rapping about the same things, you show me that there's no growth in you as an artist, as an individual, as a human being, as a man or a woman. Like your life has changed since then. But if you're still rapping or singing about the same things, I am not interested because I am not that same person I was.
Right.
Look, for instance, Nas. Nas is my favorite MC, one of the best to do it. I was in high school when Illmatic came out. I am 47 now. Nas is not rapping about the same things he rapped about in his 40s, 50s as he was as a 19-year-old.
Right.
If he was, that would be a major red flag
Right.
because this man is now grown up, become an entrepreneur, invested, blah blah blah. Same thing with Jay-Z. You know, he his subject matter, his artistry has evolved from being the hustler to being not just a mogul, but the married man, the father. Like those are sort of things I respect, and I respect and expect if you are making some sort of art or content.
Yeah.
So I say to you, like I see that even in your short time, and I think that's one of the things that really helps to keep people engaged, but also it helps to attract new followers as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like personally I haven't really taken inventory, but I am at this moment. I'm having like an inventory of when I started to now, and it's like I feel like I actually have grown so much. My content has grown. I think my content has gotten better. And then just like internally, I feel like I've grown. And I feel like just showing up every day on the internet is it's a different thing. If you don't do it, like you don't understand. Like
I agree.
it's different. And so I feel like it takes a certain, honestly, quiet as it's kept, it takes a certain level of confidence
It
to
does.
get online and show your face and talk your talk.
Yes. Yeah,
So
no, I
yeah.
agree. It is. I look at my content even when I started just the interviews and talking to people outside of just, I mean, moving on from fragrance content. It is, I started with just friends and doing Instagram live and doing this and doing that, and then I went to Exotica and I'm like, I had this mic right here and I got the cord and got some PVC piping to make it into a handle, and had a janky rig to my cell phone, and just doing interviews there, and then building that rapport, building my confidence in that regard, and building out my tech a little bit to make it a lot easier. There's a drastic difference between now and say 3 years ago, 4 years ago when I started doing some of my first interviews, even as far as um, my fragrance content. I'm always trying to find a way to make it more interesting and engaging, with individuals, and I've gotten a lot of great feedback, but I don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again, even though sometimes it's easy for me to like, all right, I got my storyboard in my head in the morning before I get ready for work. Click, 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 click. All right, edit it on the way to work, post it when I get to work, sort of thing. I try to do things different to keep it engaging, especially considering I ain't one of those other fragrance guys that are just like, yeah, I'm buying 4 or 5 fragrances every month. That ain't happening. I got a mortgage and a kid. So, but with that, I found, and I think you're finding as well, there's like your creativity gets broadened because you're always trying to find new and different ways to make content, not just because to do it, but also, and I'm sure you understand this, to make it easier for you to do it as well.
Yes. Yes, it's a lot of work. Like I spent the past 2 days, like I probably spent like yesterday, I probably worked on content for like 15 hours
I
because
believe it.
I have so many like brand like gifted collabs that I have to like make this content for.
Yes.
I spent the entire day making and editing content, and the day before I spent like pretty much the whole day doing that too. And so I'm trying to find a way to make it easy. I'm like, when man, one day I could hire an editor, at
I
least an
believe it.
editor, something, and I always have this like fear in the back of my mind that I'm gonna run out of ideas. But I'm always just like, because I'm making content, I'm always trying to like be on the lookout for inspiration and like what can inspire me. Oh,
Yeah.
someone made a topic. Oh, I can talk about that topic. I have something to say about it too. Like, let me talk about that. Oh, she made a video like this. Oh, I can make my own version of that. Let me do that, or different ideas just pop into my mind. And I'm like, all right, let me jot this down real quick so I don't forget. So
Right.
I keep telling myself, like, you think you're going to run out of ideas, but there's
You
always going
won't.
to be something to inspire you. I hope not
Let me tell you,
anyway.
there are so many things that you want to do, but you won't have time to. I literally have, where is it? It's somewhere. I got a new keyboard phone I want to do a review of. I got this TV downstairs I want to do a review of. There are, heck, I got a code from one of the guys I interviewed at PAX for their game that just came out. I got to do a review of that. Like, those are things I haven't gotten to. And then, because of other things I talked about earlier, I had all of these conventions I went to in the beginning of the year. I went to PAX East in May. In May, I went to 3 different conventions. So with everything else that's been going on, obviously video didn't get done. So I've been, because then I've had some time off. If you know what's been happening in the United States in the past
Yeah.
43 days or so. I had time off to really focus, and there was just so much content that I had to edit. I'm still not finished all of my conventions or all of my interviews yet. I still have, at the time of this recording, I no, I finished Awesome. I finished, yeah. I still have Exotica Jersey, which I went to 2 weeks ago to do, and then I have East Coast. Is it Black American or Black African Comic Con in May that I have to start doing the edits for. That, in addition to, I record 2 shows every week with Nerds Rule the World, for them. So, and then my fragrance videos every day, and then the other stuff. Literally, I have like game footage and whatnot. I was going to do game bites. Like, there's always, I say to say, there's always something to do. So, 15 hours editing video. I feel your sister. I feel you, because there's always something. But I'll tell you, the longer you do it, you'll get sort of a flow of how you do things.
Yeah.
Like, I was editing 3 different conventions. I had my template ready for each one. I just slide in the video, change the thumbnail, change the tags and everything. Click, 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 boom, render. So while the rendering part and everything takes probably the most time, it's still, once you develop a system, you get like my boy with Nerves Rule the World. He has templates for every show that he produces, and a lot of that's stored on his phone. So he just slides things in and creates a thumbnail, and boom, he's done. So the more you do it, the more you'll get into a system and a rhythm of how you want to do things. So it gets easier than at that aspect, but the sheer volume never goes away, especially if you're good at what you do. and you're not just good, but if you're passionate about what you do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like I'm passionate. I feel like
Yes.
I was enjoying myself yesterday. I was like, oh my God, look at this. I watched my videos, my own videos, like 10,000 times. I'm like, oh, this is good. I'm getting better. So it was like, I feel like yesterday was the first day where I was like, okay, I actually genuinely enjoy making content. Even if it's just for a brand and just doing something for them, and it's not just like my own like little project that I'm making, that I actually enjoy the process. Because you never really 100% know. I'm like, do I really enjoy this process, or do I just want to be an influencer? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I feel like that's how you get burnt out. But I genuinely
Right.
enjoy the process of making content and doing it, and it's fun for me.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a good perspective. I think that I always say I tell people I'm not an influencer. I'm not trying to influence anybody. If you like what I like, cool. But I do this because this is what I enjoy. This is what I love. The things that I talk about.
Mhm.
I enjoy fragrances, gaming, comics, all things geek. I am very much about style, but style in the aspect of being able to project your best self. So if the things I talk about, how I present myself, influence you, then that's all the better. But I have never done this for likes, clicks, views, products. I've done this because I want to put out a certain image that at the time when I started this, I didn't think was there. And if someone sees me and sees what I do and they resonate with that, then that's all I ever need, and I am satisfied with that. And apparently, based on what I hear, that happens. So I'm very grateful to all those who watch and who get what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I feel like for myself, like I feel like I'm a very unique personality.
Hmm.
And like there's just lots of different like layers to me or whatever. I like to call myself like a sexy Issa Rae, you know, because I feel like I have like some of her quirky way. I don't show
Hmm.
all my quirkiness, but I am very
Right.
quirky and like just full blown personality, doing the most or whatever. And so then and so I feel like there isn't a lot of representation for that, just like
Yes.
as a Black girl, just doing that. And then as far as just in general, if we just go back to talking about insecurities and all this, and just someone being raw and authentic about it, I don't know anybody really anywhere who's getting online and just being that real. Like I made a
Right.
video talking about jealousy and how I feel
Right.
jealous, and people are literally in the comment section saying, I've never felt jealous before. That's a lie from Satan, because everybody has experienced some sort of jealousy at one point in their life, even if it was just for a quick moment. You know what I
I,
mean?
I don't disagree. I would say, to that point, I always tell people I'm not a jealous type of person. But to say in my younger days, like I wasn't jealous. So like that I put things in different perspectives now than probably then. But yeah, I would never say, oh, I've never been jealous. Or I've never felt that emotion before or had that perspective. And that's
Mhm.
something that at 47 I had that perspective. No, not really, because I especially now, I mean, it was more so then, but especially now with a lot of what I've had to, I won't say deal with, but a lot I've had to endure in the past few months. I see life a lot differently now. So the jealousy for me personally, like, yeah, I don't get that now, but I understand the perspective, and so for anybody to say that never, like, I agree. That's a both-faced lie. Totally agree. But I want to
Yeah.
ask you this though: um, has your internet life bled into your real life yet?
Yes, it has. I made a video, like my first video on this TikTok was me telling my life story. And so that was just like a series of me just like putting it all out there. And the
Hmm.
reason why I did that was because I said, if I'm going to come up here talking about being a healed whole person and trying to help people heal and whole, they need to know what I'm healed and whole from. Like, I can't just come
Right.
about the blue talking about some let's heal. And, so I was like, I have to be authentic and just tell my story. And I thought, if I tell it now at the beginning of my journey, That's it. That's all. I wash my hands with it. I never really have to go into that much detail about it again.
Right.
My mom, my stepmom, who's like she's my stepmom, but she raised me, so she's just my mom.
Mm-hmm.
She went ballistic.
Mm-hmm.
She called me on the phone because I talked about her in the video.
Right.
And though we have a good relationship, there were times where she made decisions that weren't so great, and I talked about it. I was being honest. I talked about my aunts and uncles. They're mad about it. The only parent that isn't is my dad. He was very supportive. But my
Mm-hmm.
mom, she called me on the phone and she goes, I watched a video. I'm like, what? Just TikTok video. And I'm just like, okay. She's like, you talked about me? You talked about me? I'm like, yeah, I did. And then she goes, you said I choked you. You said I choked you. And I was like, yeah, you did when I was 5 years old. And because then she asked when. And I told her when I was 5, you did do that. And then she goes, you're an African woman. You're an African woman. And I'm just like, it rings in my ear like
I don't make
so
it right.
much. Like, because that's just not right. Nothing about
Yeah.
it. What do you mean?
Yeah.
So that was just, it has bled, and I'm sure there it might be some other stuff because I actually just made another video saying exactly what I just said now that I'm gonna be posting soon. So if she happens to watch that, she's gonna be mad. Oh well, and I haven't
She'll
talked
be
to
all
her since then.
right.
But honestly, I feel better that I feel such a weight off my shoulders,
Yes.
and I feel so light that I've told my story, and I just feel like I've taken my power back. So
I understand. Okay. I was curious. One, because of the rawness of your story and how you communicated online. But then also, I was also thinking of like how does this play out family wise? Like, has anybody from work seen anything? The internet.
mhm.
Somebody finds something or other because I got it at work. It's like, oh, I didn't know you did this. I didn't know you did that. And because of that, and it's funny because once people at work found out I was in the fragrances, it was like, hey, I got this fragrance. What do you think? Oh, this is the fragrance I got. And then we even started like a little sample jar at the front desk where the coffee station is, because of so that was cool. And also just I have spoken online and in public as far as work is concerned. And so when people have that experience with me and then they find out I do this, like, oh yeah, that makes sense. We can see that, sort of
Oh
thing.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's interesting. Real life wise, um, since I don't communicate a lot of my personal life until recently, I fortunately unfortunately haven't had the sort of family issues. I do get conversations like my uncle my well, one of my uncles, but in this case is my mother's brother, um and he's the only one. He is a big time gospel personality, and now he's a gospel like radio personality back home, and now he's a preacher and a pastor, and he's not a judgmental person, but with some of my interviews he's like, I see who you've been talking to. You better be careful, boy. He's like joking with me, everything. And some people like how and why and how did that happen? They're more interested in the how and the why of I got to talk to certain people that I talked to, but yeah, nothing. Only recently since I've with everything that's happened divulge more of myself and my personal life. But even in that context, I've gotten a lot of support, which is why I did it in general. I got a lot of support when everything happened. No real bad feedback per se, but it is kind of weird. Um, and I don't know if you feel the same way. When you put yourself online, like there's a part of it you put there, and to have you're kind of in a bubble when you do this. You get in front of your camera, you talk, you put it out there. For you, it's gone. For other people, it's sort of living. And as a representation of you, but also it gives a perspective on you that I don't know, you don't really think about. Um, going forward with, oh yeah, this person has an image of you, this piece of you, and they kind of perceive you in this way?
Right. I think I haven't experienced it yet, but I know that it's probably going to come where people are just like, "Oh, I found your TikTok and
Right.
this, that, and the third." And it's going to be interesting for me because people, I swear, people have a visceral reaction when I talk about insecurities. And I don't know why they do. Well, actually, I do know why, but
Right.
so I don't know how it's gonna be like meeting people and then they're just like thinking this about me and this, and it's like I have confidence too. You know,
Right.
I just talk about the times that I'm feeling low, or just the times in the past that I have, because I want to help others or whatever. So I
Right.
speak from it, from that emotion or whatever. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. People having this whatever perspective of me that may or may not be true. Um, I don't know.
You make a very good point, though, as far as you, it's not that you don't have confidence, it's just you're speaking in those insecure times. And I think that is something that when we have these conversations, we don't really think about because I have been told that one of the things that people find not necessarily attractive in a romantic way, but in general, is that the level of confidence I portray. And I'm sitting there thinking, that's what you get? Really? I'm confident? Like, I have my own bouts of insecurity like the next person. And I think that it's, very refreshing. And that's, again, going back to your original post, that I where I first met you, we all have those moments, and it's okay to be honest about those moments. Even, your most beautiful, well, whatever people, Brad Pitts, Idris Elba's, whomever, they have their moments of insecurity like anybody else. We are only human. And I think in this online space, we forget that.
Yes, I actually am on a journey to normalize insecurities, and not in a way that people should have them, but in a
Mhm.
way that we should embrace other people going through it. There's so many people. I watch videos this this comes up on so many people's timelines, like, oh, I don't deal with insecure people. The moment I find someone insecure, they can't be my friend because it's just gonna it's they're gonna be they're gonna be weird, they're gonna be this, they're gonna be that. But it's like, one, the reason why people are weird when they have insecurities is because a lot of people hide their insecurities. A
Right,
lot of people's insecurities are like deep down and under, and so they seep out in unhealthy ways because they don't have a healthy way to talk about their insecurities,
right,
because society shames you for being insecure.
right.
And so, you know, yeah,
No,
I
no.
forgot where I was
What you're
going with
saying
that.
is what you're saying is true, and I think going back to what you talked about as far as having that space, you know, it really comes down to having safe spaces to really talk about these things, because not so much about having the insecurities, is like you says, how we address them, and more importantly, how we work through them.
Hmm.
And really take a look at ourselves. And I think, and this is part of conversations I've had in the past as well, I think that the way we are now, in many respects, um, I think so few of us really take a look inside of ourselves to really address aspects of us. And I think that insecurity aspect plays a very big role in that. We're afraid to deal with those insecurities. I think sometimes we're afraid to deal with them because we're afraid of what we might find, or we're afraid of what we need to do to really work is work through those insecurities.
Yep. Yep. On my healing journey, like, I came into therapy. First of all, I came into therapy like I have a list of things that I need to fix. I'm gonna fix myself or whatever.
Mhm.
And then I had this list, and they used to be like, Here Miss Store go with her list, and I'm like, yeah, because if I gotta take off 3 months out of work to be here, I'll make a list. And
Yes,
so
yes,
we would uncover the first layer, and then second layer is perfectionism. I'm like, I'm not no perfectionist. What you talking about? Apparently I'm a perfectionist. I am. And then another layer, you dig deeper, it's something else, and you dig deeper, it's something else, and you dig deeper, and then you get to the root of it, and it might be like, dang, when you was a child, someone slapped you. Like it all stems from one moment. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like it,
Right.
it really can be like that simple, you know. But no one wants to get to the point because they're embarrassed. It's
Yes.
embarrassing.
Yes,
It's
it is.
embarrassing. Saying I'm insecure, being honest and saying I'm insecure because I got my daddy's nose is embarrassing. It's gonna like who and most people aren't helpful. I have to talk about this. People are disingenuous and they're not helpful. When people who do not fall into the stereotypes of whatever the social normalcy of beauty and social beauty standards, there we go, and they make a video and talk about being ugly or being this way, people come into the comments to their rescue to say, no, 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 no. Don't say that about yourself. Don't do this. Don't do that. And it's like, but that's their real life experience.
Right.
And what are you gonna do? When I was in therapy, one of the class was the body, and we talked about like your body, your everything that has to do with the body. And one day I literally asked the question. I said, it's very interesting because society tells us that we should feel beautiful, but there are people in society who, let's just say, are considered the bottom of the barrel, fat,
Hmm.
black, and ugly, and don't be a woman, and they're walking through society, and everywhere they go, someone tells them they're ugly. But then when they get online and say, hey, I am feeling ugly. Oh no, 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 you're beautiful, you're beautiful. That is not how we handle that. We
Right.
can't really solve the problem from that level. I don't want to, I'm not going to, in that situation, I'm not going to compliment someone that I don't find attractive. But what I'm going to say is maybe we need to dig deeper to why you feel this way and what
Right.
can we do to change that and where
Right.
can you find your confidence and where can you build your confidence from and how can you enjoy to see what you see in the mirror as much as possible, even if I feel like everyone should enjoy what they see in the mirror.
Yes.
They don't have to expect others to, but you need to love you. So how do we get to the point where you love you, and how can we do how can society do that in an honest way without just pushing? People want to push confidence on people when confidence isn't something that you push, it's something that you build.
Right. Right. Very true. Very true. I first of all, you put that so eloquently. But secondly, something that you said that I think that I have always held to is that it's not about what everybody else says, it's about how you feel and your perception of yourself. And if you, I think you said something effective like, how do you build that within? How do you address those issues within? Not from what other people think. And say, if you don't feel like you are, on a certain, aspect of beauty, okay, how do you change that for yourself? How do you build upon it and build your confidence and get to a point where you feel beautiful for you? And I think that's something that um, one of the things that I've talked about with friends, female friends specifically, and again, I'm not going to go there because I think that's too easy, but also it's a bit divisive. But one of the things we talk about is that perception. And one of the things I've always said, people have asked, like, oh, do you think, you know, like, I should you lose weight or this or that and this? And I said, well, how do you feel? Because I'm like, for me, I'm like, it's not about me and what I think or what I want or what I find desirous. It's, hey, how do you feel in your body? Do you feel like you want to, or you would feel better if you change this about yourself, if you lost this weight, if you started working out more? And I say that I use weight and body because that's probably one of the not easiest, but it's something we all can see and something that, okay, there are proven methods you can address it. Um, it's never about what I want. It's about, hey, how do you feel? I have a friend
Mhm.
of mine, and I met her in 2022, and she was, you know, thickum thickum, maybe a little bit extra pounds, but beautiful young woman. We had great conversations. You know, became really good friends and everything. Um, she has since found herself and her confidence, and she's like, I need to change this. I need to change me for me. And I'm just seeing her journey and how she is, you know, put in a commitment, dedication in the gym and changed her body, and how good she feels about herself. So she really sought to address, and I remember just our conversation in general, like she sought to address herself and how she felt good. And like her significant other, he was perfectly happy with her because he loved her. You know, that's the woman he loved, that's the woman he's going to marry. So it wasn't so much, oh, I need to look good for him or blah, blah. It was, babe, you do what you got to do for you to make sure you feel the way you want to feel. And you feel if this is what you needed to make for you to feel beautiful and confident and sexy and whatever, then that's what you do. And I think that so many times we we look at the external instead of looking at internal. And I say that because even myself with my own body image issues over the years and really becoming comfortable with me and how I look. It wasn't that I needed external validation. It was I need to look inside myself like, okay, my body is my body and I love my body. But it took a long time for me to get there. And not saying I was never, you know, overweight or anything like that to go to that other thing, but I was very conscious of how I looked, of my body. And it took me a while really to look at myself to look like, hey, I like me. I am, you know, I'm an okay looking dude, you know, like got an okay body, but I like me and I'm good with this. So that was, again, I talked about last 5, 6 years. That was part of my own journey. I had to look internally, and I think we miss that a lot when it comes to that beauty piece and that confidence piece. We look for, or we receive so much external validation on one or the other, that some people really get lost in that and never take a step back to really look within themselves. What do I like? And if I don't like this and I want to be a certain way, what do I need to change and what kind of work do I need to do to get there?
Yeah, I think there's a concept that I've been trying to embrace within myself because I feel like it's the I because when I put myself in the position of someone who fits all the negative stereotypes of what someone unattractive is, I sit there, I'm saying, if I was in that position, I don't think there's any way I could look in the mirror and literally say, you are beautiful, like, and believe it.
Right,
But there's a concept called body neutrality that I started exploring, which I think is honestly the best way for everyone to go,
hmm,
where you are neutral about how you feel towards your body and you look at your body and yourself as how your body works for you. Like, I
mm,
have eyes so they can see. I'm thankful for my body.
right,
I have a nose so I can breathe. I'm thankful for my nose. And instead of having this love or hate, or you just kind of are thankful for, you're thankful for your body as a working unit.
right,
And I think that that is a more healthy route to self-acceptance and being more neutral, because at the end of the day, like, even for myself, like, it's hard. I'm working on it right now, where I
hmm,
want to feel like I want to be to the point where I'm like 100% always feeling good about myself. Like, that's kind of
hmm,
where I want to be. I'm
right,
not at 100% yet, but there's days when I'm feeling like, ooh, it can get low, and I'm like, am I ever going to get to a point where I can consistently be at a like a 90 or above with how I what I see in the mirror or
right,
whatever? And I'm not sure. I'm not sure. All I know is I'm just going to put in the work every single day and hope that I'm inching closer and I'm inching closer. But while I'm doing that, I'm just going to love my body for the fact that it's here for me and
right.
it's doing what it should.
I think that's a great way. That's a great way of looking at it, and also it's a very healthy way of looking to see if you need to make changes personally as far as your body is concerned.
Hmm.
Because if your body's not working for you, what do I need to change so it does work for me? That's a great way of looking at it, in my opinion.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I've adopted. And I did want to touch on this because this goes into the subject, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
People, and there's another video I have coming soon, but it's about people, society judging people who make changes to their body. I don't judge people who make changes to their bodies
Right.
because I feel like society puts so much pressure on women, so much pressure on men. Like men's pressure to be tall is crazy,
Hmm.
and then like the pressure on women to look a certain way that like people are going to want to change things. People are going to want to go under the knife. People are going to get Botox. People
Right.
are going to, people don't mind braces, but it, if nobody cared, nobody would be getting braces.
Exactly. It's
Nobody,
yes, you're right.
like literally, if nobody cared, people probably wouldn't even brush their teeth. Like, let's just keep it a buck 100.
Right.
And so it's like I think that at the end of the day, people are gonna do things to make themselves happy. I feel like as long as like you're doing it within reason, you're
Right.
not like turning it into an uncanny valley situation, that you have the freedom and liberty to do as you will and as you want with your body, because at the end
Right.
of the day, pushes society pushes a certain standard, but then also shames you for changing to fit into that standard.
Right. No, I agree. I agree. I want to ask you one last question before I let you
Yeah.
go, since
Okay.
you're very much into beauty and everything. What fragrances are you into?
Oh, so right now, baby girl uses Dossier. That is,
Okay, yeah.
I love their dupes. But prior to using their dupes, I was buying the original scents. But I found that the Dossier lasts so much longer. Like
Mm,
people like it'll be 5 p.m. and people are still complimenting me on how I smell. But the dupes are of La Vie Belle, Lancome, uh, Gucci Guilty, um, what's this other one? YSL, Black Opium, and what's that real famous one that went real crazy viral over the past like years?
is it not Baccarat Rouge?
Yeah,
No.
Baccarat
Okay.
Rouge. Yep,
Okay.
yep,
All right.
yep.
Yeah, everybody, so many people wearing that. And it's a great smell. I mean, I'm not upset about it. But yeah, Dossier is one of like I remember when they first came out. Is one of the places I just haven't purchased from. Now it's funny I can find them in Target, which is kind of crazy, and cool. And Target and Walmart. I think they're Walmart as well. But yeah, look, I always tell people I don't care how much you spend, how much you pay for it. Does it work for you? And that's all that really matters. I don't care if
Yeah,
it's a dupe of this, a dupe of that, because let me tell you, even things aren't dupes. Like they're things that remind me of other things all the
yeah,
time. It was like it smells
yeah.
like this. Why get this note? So yeah, it doesn't really matter. What I want to thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. We definitely got to work together again. I love this. But Mr. Tell everybody where they can find your content.
Yes, so on all social media platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, it's just Mistura Iginla. That's it.
Mr.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. You guys, I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. Make sure you check her out on all our platforms. Her content is great, and I watch it all the time. She's one of and has become one of my favorite creators on TikTok. Really, to watch because I love the honesty and the rawness, and she's just fun to watch. I'm not gonna lie. But you guys, thank you for your time. Thank you for your listening ear, and remember, stay safe out there and be blessed.
All right.
Well, swag out them boss. Look.